Hello and welcome to the FMCC's World FM Day virtual conference event. Today's webinar is IFMA's Knowledge Library, a strategic step in providing resources, presented by Bill Conley and Chris Leake. Everyone has been muted for audio quality. If you have any questions during the presentation, please type them into the question box and we'll be happy to go over them during the Q&A portion of the webinar. Also, this webinar is being recorded and will be archived on the FMCC website, fmcc.ifma.org. And if you would like a copy of the PDF of this PowerPoint, you can go ahead and download it now. On your control panel, please go to the handout section and go ahead and click the link to download. The FMCC does want to make you aware that they offer services for the FM community through their Ask the Experts, Find a Consultant, Locate a Speaker, and online educational resources, and these can be found at fmcc.ifma.org. As always, we do like to thank our sponsors, and we want to bring special attention to World FM Day today. In our presentations, we are doing 18 presentations today, taking over 31 hours to bring you valuable, high-quality content related to the FM field. And those people presenting those webinars are all over the world. These pinpoints in the map show where the presentations have been taking place. And these are the lovely and handsome speakers that have made this all possible. Without their hard work and great content, none of this would be possible. And at the bottom, you do see the moderators. I'm Joshua Amos. I'm the component liaison here at IFMA. And I have the good fortune of introducing you to my friend Bill Conley. He is a facility manager for Yamaha in Cypress, California, and has more than 40 years of experience in facility management profession and currently serves on the IFMA Knowledge Strategy Committee. He also writes often for the FMJ. And Chris Leake is here at IFMA. He's content manager. He graduated from UT with a BS in Communications and has over 5 years professional experience in content production and organization management. At this time, I'm going to go ahead and turn it over to Bill Conley.
Thanks, Joshua. And welcome everybody, and thanks for joining us today. I'd like to talk to you about our knowledge library, and I think this slide is neat because never stop learning. I think that's something we should always keep in the back of our minds. Knowledge advances the way we work and communicate, and it helps us to be more effective in our careers. But first you need the information, and then the way I see it, information leads to knowledge, and then knowledge leads to capability, and then application and experience leads to wisdom. As we all know, as you all know, there's more than enough information out there. IFMA is also well aware of that fact, and the Knowledge Strategy Committee has taken a major step in remedying this situation by creating this knowledge library. It's a comprehensive collection of all the materials that IFMA has accumulated over the years, plus new topical and relevant articles and submissions that we're getting on a fairly good pace, but we need more, and we'll be talking about that as we go through here. Located on the IFMA website, the Knowledge Library probably won't endow anybody with knowledge, but it's been designed to provide the right information in the right place to expedite the assimilation of facts and allow FMs to perform more efficiently. Next slide, please. So the learning objectives today, we want to talk about the benefits of the Knowledge Library, how to navigate it, what the future is, and Chris will be getting into that a little bit later, and submitting and vetting content for the Knowledge Library. We're going to be peppering our discussion today with some asks of our members, and basically I'll mention them now and we'll hit them as we go through too, but we want people to go to the site, we want people to comment on the site, we need people to submit, we need people to actually vet that content and make sure that it's appropriate and topical and relevant to facility management. And we need people to talk about it. We need you to go out and talk to your peers and discuss the Knowledge Library. So those are the 5 things we're asking every time we do and talk about this. We ask that because they're all easily done, and they will benefit you and they will benefit the rest of our membership. So next slide, please. So our participant poll, we only have one today, but we'd like to know how many people have actually gone to the Knowledge Library. So Joshua, I don't know how you handle this one. Oh, there you go. And we'll give a few minutes for people, or a few seconds probably, for people to answer this. Okay, about 50-50. So of the 50% that have been there, we'd love to hear your comments on it. One of the things that I serve as is voice of the customer, so I like to know how people are reacting to it. And for the 50% of the people who have not been on it yet, I ask please do so and then send in your comments. We really want to make sure that this is a viable and beneficial tool for our members, and the only way we can do that is by listening to and responding to your needs. So next slide, please. So the Knowledge Library offers a lot of features to help you gain quick access to the exact content you're looking for. You can search, browse and filter, and even rate or like the content to help other Knowledge Library users. And again, that filter and rating and liking content is really, really important to us. We strongly encourage feedback and comments on both the content and the function of the library. We can't improve it if we don't know what our users need or want. So the first thing, again, we ask of members, and you'll hear this a lot, is visit the site, comment back to us, tell us, do you like the news and updates? How many things have you bookmarked and how has it helped you? How deeply have you gone into the site? Things like that are really important to us so that we know how it's functioning well. Next slide. So all the content in one location at your fingerprints. We've designed the digital library to bring you continually updated and refreshed content that's relevant to facility management. We curate the library and have all content rigorously vetted by industry experts such as yourselves to provide you with the highest quality and most relevant content. The premise is pretty simple. The committee assembled the collected historical documents created over time, written by and for facility professionals, and then we organize it for ease of access and relevancy. IFMA's Knowledge Library, it does contain a wealth of digital content that's been reviewed by FM professionals to help supplement your learning and growth. You can find everything from articles, benchmarking documents, case studies, how-to guides, research reports, and more. Next slide, please. Oh, got it. Multiple levels of access, and I think Chris would like to address this, but bottom line is if you're an IFMA member, you have access. You know, you just have to register and sign up. But Chris, I'll let you take this one.
Sure. So, yeah, currently we offer, from when we launched the Knowledge Library in October, 3 levels of access. So, kind of going back to a point Bill made earlier in the presentation, part of the objective was to aggregate great resources into one location, but also to enhance the ease of use and access for facility management professionals, and increase the visibility of the great resources that are written by FM experts for IFMA and housed in the Knowledge Library. So this chart here basically explains those original 3 access levels that we launched with. We offer free access, and what that does is again, for that increased and enhanced visibility of great FM resources, we essentially take that vetted content, a small fraction of it, and we offer it to the world. So anyone can view that without the need to sign up. Obviously, the idea here is to generate interest, and people can recognize without any level of commitment how valuable the Knowledge Library can actually be for them, and how it can assist them in enhancing their knowledge base. But then you can graduate through this level of access. So with the small commitment of creating an account, like Bill said, with an email address and a password, you then unlock additional features that we've designed within the library. So as Bill had briefly mentioned, the ability to like and rate and comment. Part of the architecture of the library is not just that it is a repository of great FM resources. We want it to be an interactive community, hence why it's housed in IFMA's online community. So the strength of the library comes not only from those resources, but also from FMs and FM students and practitioners and thought leaders kind of coming together to determine what content being published is the best. That's the rating system. Liking things so that it informs other users that that content is good and worth their time, and it kind of helps simplify the process of finding good content for the users amidst the hundreds of pieces that we currently have published. And then you kind of graduate to the premium access level, and this allows you to have access to even more content. Currently, this is exclusive to IFMA members, this level of access. So they get everything that we initially launched with. They get access to all of those hundreds of pieces of content. And the one point I wanted to bring up, a little bit of a teaser for something that that you'll see unveiled at World Workplace this year. We've worked on a new access level where it's called a Knowledge Pass. And so for a subscription fee, FMs will be able to unlock even higher quality, more relevant, and more valuable content than we've ever published before.
Yeah, and if I can throw a couple of things in, we really feel that the Knowledge Library is a good representation of IFMA, and the free access and registered access, it's a step-by-step process. If free access teases people in, then they register. Hopefully they'll become IFMA members, you know, not just to become and get the premium access, but because they see all the benefits that IFMA will provide to any professional in the built environment, whether it be a facility manager or property manager, but anybody out there, because they can all benefit from the materials we're putting up there. Once they see that, we hope we can hook them in and actually make them members of IFMA. So we think it's a good tool not only to benefit our members, but also to benefit the association. So, next slide, please. So we mentioned before about submissions, and we always need new submissions because we want to make sure that this is a robust, relevant, up-to-date, ahead of the curve type of resource. We have come up with a thematic editorial calendar to help people decide or choose what they would like to submit or write about. There's a new, easier submission process that's out there now. And it's automated, and revised content submission guidelines. It'll make submitting content for consideration in the Knowledge Library easier than ever before, because again, we want to make sure that the stuff we get is good. You know, we want to make sure that when one of our members goes into a piece on the Knowledge Library, it's not a waste of their time. So it is vigorously vetted, as it's mentioned before. We want things specific to topics, trends, and current FM events, so we can provide more relevant content to FMs right when they need it most. So again, the second thing we're asking of members, first we want you to go there, but to help us keep the library fresh and exciting, we need submissions coming in nonstop. Old, stale, useless, and passé items are terms we don't want associated with our site. We want people to look at it and say, wow, I didn't know that, or wow, I really learned something new.
Yeah, and a couple points to add, Bill. So you're right in the fact that we are constantly looking for great content, and the whole idea is, again, not just great for FM users of the site and readers of the site, but also those interested in writing for the site and positioning themselves as thought leaders in their respective industry. So we've taken a lot of effort to develop and design this thematic editorial calendar so that it coincides with the core competencies that FMs recognize. And we streamline the submission process, and the content submission guidelines have been continuously refined. And really the underlying objective there was how can we design and develop the simplest possible system for submissions that is still organized so that we can expedite people's content that they submit, and then also kind of keep up a rapid rate of publishing to, as you put it, stay as the identified thought leader and knowledge provider for FMs. Yeah,
as the leading facility management organization in the world, we owe it to again, all professionals in the built environment to provide as many benefits as possible, and we'll be talking about knowledge management in a minute, but it's really important that we're ahead of the curve so other people can learn from what we're doing. So next slide, please. So we do have over 500 pieces. It spans all 11 core competencies and dozens of FM industries. In addition, we're going to be adding, hopefully, an additional 300 to 400 pieces by World Workplace 2016. I don't know, Chris, if you can tell me of those 500 pieces, how many we originally got, because again,
Sure.
many are called, but few were chosen. Again, 500 plus, it was a major undertaking, and I was part of the vetting process too. It was a major undertaking to go in and read these pieces and critique them and rate them and then put them in the right place. A lot of work went into this. So these 500 pieces that you see are really the cream of the crop, and I'm not sure how big the crop was, but this is the best of the best right here.
Yeah, and I'll shine some light on that, Bill. So, and this is not meant to intimidate, but we actually had over 900 original submissions. So you can kind of see through that vetting process, it is a key differentiator, and that's one thing that we really like to hammer home for people that are interested in using the Knowledge Library and wondering the value that's derived from the Knowledge Library, or is we don't just haphazardly select content. It does have to go through a rigorous vetting process of quality to make sure that our end users that are reading this content are getting the most valuable FM resources. And so to speak a little bit on how that number kind of dwindled down, 400 pieces that essentially didn't make the cut. The content vetting process is made up of seasoned FM professionals, and so they essentially look at each content piece and they run through a scoring rubric, and they assess the piece on its value to the industry and value to FMs, its practicality, and its relevance to the industry and to the practice of facility management. And through their assessments, that gives us a very strong understanding of the best content that we can put forward. So, in kind of speaking and again teasing to some stuff that we're planning and currently working on for what we call Phase 2, which will be unveiled at World Workplace this year in San Diego. We initially started out with the objective of 300 to 400 pieces, and that itself has dwindled to about 200. And again, it's not meant to be exclusive, but it is meant to put the best content forward.
Right, because with all that content out there, we don't want people wasting their time finding stuff they don't need to hear. So, next slide. So I mentioned earlier that right now you can find articles and benchmarking documents and case studies, our how-to sustainability guides, our research reports. We're adding more, and these are some of the new content types we're going to be coming up with. I'm sorry, Josh, I think maybe we'll go back one. Thank you. Blogs, podcasts, how-to videos, scopes of work. These are things, again, we need our members to be contributing to this, especially the how-to videos and the podcasts, and even the scope of work to a point. This is information that we want from FMs for FMs. So not only can you benefit by submitting some of this thing, but you can also benefit from seeing what other people are doing. So we're really excited about introducing these. And this would be, I think, Phase 2. I'm not sure if this will be ready by World Workplace or so, but it's something we'll be working on in the near future to start. In fact, I think some of the videos that we'll be doing at World Workplace will be resident on the Knowledge Library, should they be of the right quality and stuff.
Yeah, that's correct, Bill, and also so the idea behind adding additional content types and just to kind of plug something you had said in the opening of the presentation in terms of requesting members' feedback. So we're allowing FMs to instruct and inform us as to the content types they want to see most. And the idea behind offering such a wealth of content types, everything from articles and benchmarking now to how-to videos and podcasts, it goes back to that element of interactivity and also the idea that information should be accessible, and the best way for FMs to absorb as much knowledge as possible is to put it in a multitude of mediums. So we're really trying to find high-quality FM resources, but not just targeted to the sector of articles or benchmarking content. But we recognize now in a digital world where you can consume content on a mobile device or on a desktop, that users would want to consume various types of contents depending on their situation, commute to work, and things like that. So we're trying to offer a level of flexibility through the content type that we offer, and so we've essentially added these, and we'll continue to add based on FM user interest additional content types. So if there are content types that you would like to see, or things that you believe could help advance the knowledge of facility management practice in general, or even enhance the daily practitioner of facility management, those are great things to offer feedback on, and then we can work to incorporate that in future releases.
Next slide, Joshua. So as you may have gotten to the point by now, that the library is a living entity. It's changing and improving over time with your help and with the help of people at IFMA. One of the functions on the site is dedicated to news and updates, which highlights posts made by the Knowledge Library Administrative regarding newly added content, new features, and new functionality. But one of the areas this points you to is the recently added list. Here you'll find content that is literally hot off the press, or hot off the wire, I guess, speaking digitally. The most recently published by the Knowledge Library team. This material can be sorted by name, the date it was written, how many others have beaten you to it, and what they felt about it. The site provides you all the information about all the information in which you're interested. So if you've been to the site before and you don't know where to go to News and Updates, and it'll point you in the new direction.
And the knowledge strategy team does update this quite frequently. This is one of our methods of, again, creating that level of interactivity. We want it to be a back and forth with the users. We don't want to essentially publish stuff and it flies out into the ether with no response. So we've tried to develop this section of the library so that you're constantly informed, and we understand that FMs lead quite busy lives. So you may not go to the library on a daily basis, and so we're trying to kind of plan for that and ensure that at any point that you enter the Knowledge Library, you would be able to still stay up to speed or get up to speed quite quickly. And just another small note that, again, teasing things that are in development, we're also working to add the ability to send email digest. So now that we're publishing things thematically and we try to publish things consistently according to schedule, you will actually in the near future be able to subscribe to the Knowledge Library and receive email updates that will let you know the latest content that's being featured or published. Which is, again, hopefully another way that it just simplifies the process of finding resources that are helpful for you.
Yeah, next slide. So again, it's a navigation of it. You can filter content by the 11 competencies, by industry, which I think is aligned pretty much with the old council structure. By popularity, what are people reading? If a lot of people are reading something, it may be important to you, and more types of filtering and just looking for things. It's easy to find. Just for and I'm looking at this as a practitioner more than anything else. Chris is more the administrator and the person who puts this all together. So, but one thing, like looking for best practice in sustainability, which is one of my hot topics. Leads you to topics on energy, and then you can see what GHG and what's GHG. You look up greenhouse gas effects, and then you start looking for carbon footprint information. Then cap and trade. scope 3 reporting was that, and it goes on and on and on. You could basically get lost in here if you're not careful, but it'll lead you to, again, more information that you thought you needed, but actually you find that you do need. It's a great tool that way, and that it'll lead you to basically, you start with energy, and sooner or later you'll get back to energy because it'll be a full circle. All this information, all these resources that you can apply to your workplace are available on the Knowledge Library.
And to add to that, Bill, this so the sorting by competency and industry, we're currently working to add other filter and sort functionality, ideally by content type. So kind of going back again to making this flexible and making the information accessible regardless of device or medium in which you're using. If you specifically want to look for articles, or you want to drill straight over to the research resources that are in the library, we're going to add that functionality as well. And one important point I wanted to make in terms of the robustness of the ability to filter down and kind of parse through the content swiftly is not only what you see, but actually what you don't see is very important as well. Because as I said, there's two kind of elements that make up the heartbeat of the Knowledge Library. So it's obviously FMs that find value in the resources, but it's also FMs and thought leaders that want to provide that value through their written resources. So as we continue to build this and we continue to request that content be submitted, you can actually use the Knowledge Library to your advantage if you're a content author by searching it and finding topics that aren't covered that you believe would be of value and interest to FMs, and you've essentially done your first-hand research to know exactly what to write about.
And I think, Chris, you're stealing my thunder a little bit, because that's something we're going to be talking about a little bit more in depth when we get to the discussion points. But that's all right. Hey, it's a message worth repeating, So next slide, please. So this is just a continuation of other ways that you can filter through, as Chris was saying, by content, by education level, probably by level. How at World Workplace you've got different levels for presentations. We're going to have levels like that here, where for newcomers, you can go and look at stuff that maybe will help you on your learning curve. For the more experienced people, we'll have more leading edge stuff. Again, not to be exclusive of anybody, but we're going to be able to cater it so that you get what you need to progress. And another thing too that I noticed on the site is there's a lot of tags too. So if you're looking at an article, there's tags down below that refer to other areas that you can go to. I think they're called tags, aren't they, Chris?
Yes, that's one of the very important elements of the library, and part of that rigorous vetting process. What takes the time mostly is not just the quality reviews that we have, are what we call content experts, which are our seasoned FMs that review the content, but also a lot of what they call information architecture, which is all of the nuts and bolts of how we can organize this in a very easy to access manner, and it really lives off of the idea of the keywords and the tags, and that's what kind of gives that organic or kind of fluidity to the Knowledge Library, is the ability to start to see associations between content. There's a feature that it's obviously we can't show through slides, but say for instance you were interested in this piece that we see on the screen, and then you read through it. If you scroll to the bottom of the page within the library, it will actually pop up related content, and that's based on those tags. So what we're trying to help the user do is not just find exactly what they're looking for efficiently, but also drive them to other content that may be of interest to them.
Next slide, please. So, well, interact with FM content like never before. You can bookmark, you can review. Facility managers, they have to rely on a number of things in order to be successful. Not the least of these is the ability to access and utilize the most relevant and topical information in the facility management world. There we go. So what you can do is, you can bookmark things to go back to, and also you can post a review so that other people will see what you think, and also those reviews will show you what other people think. Is this worth my time? Is this what I'm looking for? Those reviews will help you and other people navigate better and really get to the crux of what they need, because time is limited. A lot of people say time is money. Well, it's not. Money can be replaced. Time can't. Once it's gone, it's gone. So we don't want you to have to waste time with gun. We want you to find what you're looking for in the easiest way possible. And sometimes reviews will prompt you in either looking at something or maybe not if you don't think it's appropriate. Next slide, please. And again, search by competency, industry, keywords. Documents are organized by type, whether it be white paper, articles, presentations. And again, when we get the new tools in there, be by blogs and by video. By competency, by 12 different industries. There's also a support function, which provides tips to help you easy through the process, just another way to help you navigate. Cross-pollination runs rampant. Those tags really help because the links and crossovers in facility management are extremely prevalent. And this, I think, is reflected well in the library. One competency, and anybody who's taken any of the competency courses or gone through the FMP, the SFP, they see the cross-pollination between different themes and different ideas where, finance is just as big a part of sustainability as project management is, as, indoor environmental quality is. They're all interlinked. And the library will help you make those connections and make easy transitions from one point to another to get a full picture of what you need to know.
Yeah, and also, Bill, on that, on the ability to search. So we went over browsing earlier and the ability to kind of parse through content and filter down and isolate what you're looking for. One of the most important functionalities of search, I guess there's actually two, is one, you have this search functionality where you can use those keywords. Again, going back to the importance of tags, we've asked seasoned FMs to provide keywords. First, we ask the authors to provide their keywords, and then we have the seasoned FMs check over those and ensure that those words are embedded in each content piece to make it relevant. So you can use those keywords to search, and that allows you to kind of really home in on exactly what you're looking for, what content you're looking for. And so the big benefit that you get from a search feature, it's not readily identifiable yet as the library houses 500 pieces, but as we've kind of been saying, as interest continues to develop in submitting content and the library continues to add hundreds of pieces a year, eventually it's going to have thousands of pieces, wherein this search functionality is really going to help you still be able to isolate the exact content that you're looking for. The other small point is a technical kind of caveat to this is when you register for the online community, you're not just gaining access to the knowledge library, but you're gaining access to a multitude of groups housed within that community. And so the search functionality actually spans the entire community. So kind of depicted in this picture, you can see the icon on the right for the content piece, high tech and green, is produced or published by the knowledge strategy team, and you see the location beneath that in the knowledge library. But then you also see two comments, so you see the interactivity in your search queries as well, and that spans, again, every group within the community. So you're not just getting access to the library in another way to find the content in the library. You're getting access to other facility managers and other conversations that are going on within the online community.
All right, next slide. Now we're going to get into our discussion points, and these are aimed at basically answering your questions without you having to answer them. It's not really frequently asked questions. It's basically I'm the user, and I'll be adding my perspective to these discussion points, and then Chris will talk about, again, the functionality and stuff. So the first question is, when have you used the Knowledge Library and what prompted you to go there? My answer is basically, well, first off, having been part of the process from the onset, I went in out of curiosity. I wanted to see, okay, I've worked on this, what's it look like? And had a good time playing around and stuff like that. But then later on, running my facility here, I had some questions. We don't have much of a process or procedure or protocol on volatile organic compounds in the workplace, you know, and this is indoor environmental quality related. So I went in to look and see, okay, what are people doing to limit the types of hazardous chemicals and hazardous materials that go into a facility that have VOCs, that have outgassing, that cause respiratory ailments. So I went through and looked around to see what other people had to say about it. Another issue that came up here, and something that I hadn't dealt with before, is bio-waste and biohazards. We have some employees here who are diabetic, and they self-inject, and then they throw their syringes away. Or what do we do with those? You know, that type of thing. So again, first I went in out of curiosity just to see what it looked like and see how much fun I could have with it, and that was fun. But then I started thinking, okay, I can use this as a resource. You know, here are questions that I need answered for myself, and then so that's sort of why I went in. And again, that's an overall theme, basically. If you need to know something, we have a great place for you to go and look for it. And Chris, did you have anything you wanted to add on that one?
No, well, I mean, you're exactly right, Bill, and that's essentially what we're trying to parse out for our users, for our FM practitioners. And I guess the only point I would say to this is, as we look to continue developing it, is it goes back to the point of feedback. It's important that, you know, as Bill just shared his story, how valuable the library can be to you if we understand the motivations that the facility managers have for the resources that they need that can enhance their day-to-day activities or their understanding of particular concepts. That allows us to continue to design the library, you know, with the users very clearly pictured in mind. So it's going to be a much more customized experience. So again, this is almost a call to action in that feedback process. The feedback that we get, you know, it's we look at every single comment that we receive on the Knowledge Library. And the impact that has on facility managers, kind of trying to achieve those underlying objectives of ease of use and simplicity and expedited access to content. So we're hoping the more that FMs see the value in this resource and start to use it, the more feedback we'll also receive on how it's been valuable and how it can continually be improved.
And also with facility management changing as rapidly as it is, with the world changing as rapidly as it is, going in there and seeing what's new and what's coming up, or having questions that you know you can get answered, it's kind of like a comfort level. You say, well, you know, this is coming up. Somebody must have written on it yet, and we'll get to that point in a second. But I think it's a good resource to keep on top of things, because we need to keep, you know, it's not business as usual. We have to keep looking ahead, and we're hoping that the Knowledge Library will help lead people in that direction. So.
Yeah, that's a great point, and just to add a small note to that, back to what I was saying about the feedback, Bill, is you know, facility managers, I think, are poised in the best position to kind of, you know, be right there at the front of an ever-evolving, ever-changing industry. So that feedback provided, you know, the user may be the first person to kind of turn us on to the idea that, hey, there's something out there and we need to stay in front. We need to get resources to help out these facility managers.
Right, and Josh mentioned earlier that I write for the FMJ. I write articles for the FMJ, and sometimes after I write an article and it gets posted, I will go in there and see, okay, has anybody else touched this subject? You know, what do they have to say about it? And I can learn from other people's input based on what I wrote. So it's helpful that way too. Next slide, please, Josh. So discussion point number 2, I'm going to rephrase this, and basically the question is more, do people know how to get to the library? You can get on through the community landing page to drop down. I go through the IFMA website myself. It's under knowledge base. To me, that's easier because I have the IFMA website sort of on speed dial, so I just go there and hit knowledge base and get onto the knowledge library that way. And I'm sure there are other ways, Chris, that you can get to it, but to me, those are the 2 easiest, through either the community site or the or knowledge base. And again, it's a simple drop down either way. So I think the visibility is, or the ease of finding it is well, fairly easy, very facile.
Well, that's good to hear, and actually we're continuing to improve every aspect of it, and kind of the motivation behind this question is can it be improved even further, and kind of alluding to again some things that we have coming up in this phase 2 launch. We're giving the Knowledge Library a facelift. We've worked with the team to walk through various paths of access and how to find content quickly, how to get to the Knowledge Library quickly, and so we're even enhancing this process because again, the whole motivation behind the library is getting FMs the content they need quickly, and we want to be a valuable resource and never a burden. And so we want multiple access points into the Knowledge Library. We want it accessible from any device, mobile, tablet, or desktop, so we're making it responsive. So this idea of visibility is, we always want to continually remind IFMA members and FM practitioners, again, since the library is really open in certain capacities to all FMs, that this resource is here, and that it's accessible and that it will help them.
All right, next slide, Joshua, please. So when content of a specific subject matter is not represented well in the Knowledge Library, what steps could be taken to broaden that resource? And I have 2 things off the top of my head. First off, I'm curious by nature, so and I mentioned trying to look up VOCs, or volatile organic compounds, and any processes or procedures people had, and I couldn't find much. So I decided, okay, well, I'm going to go look it up myself. So I'm right now doing research on that, and when I find out what I need and come up with what I think is a fairly good procedure, then I will share that, or at least I'll submit that for sharing with other people, because it's something that's really not that prevalent right now. So I think it's an area that could use some use. So anybody out there, if you're looking for something and you don't find it, then it's incumbent upon you to A, find it out for yourself, but B, share it, tell other people, hey, I had a hard time finding this stuff out, so not only did I find it out, but I've written it up, and it's now on the Knowledge Library for your benefit. So, and the second thing is, if you don't know something and you're not in tune with writing, or you're uncomfortable with trying to express your thoughts that way, IFMA is a vast network. Talk to people that may know what you're looking for, and tell them, write this up and then submit something for me, or get something together, because people are looking for it. So, use the network, use your mentors, use your IFMA contacts and network, and that's a way of getting content too. And the thing about volunteering, and the thing about people doing things is they have to be asked. They have to be personally asked. So if you asked a friend or a fellow facility manager, hey, I don't know anything about this, but you do, could you put something together? 9 times out of 10 they'll do it, not only because you asked, but B, it may be something they're interested in doing anyway, and they just needed to be prompted. So those are the 2 things that I would do. I would either, attack it myself and then submit it, or find someone else who was an expert on it and have them submit it. But the key is to get the information and then get it into the library. So that's how I would handle it.
Yeah, and this is actually another great point to that point of feedback. So the knowledge strategy team, which is behind the organization and publication of the content in the Knowledge Library, we're a small team, but again, like I said, we read every point of feedback, every comment that comes in, every request. So this is also another great opportunity. If you don't see something, if through the feedback forum, which is located on the IFMA website under the knowledge base tab that Bill had mentioned, if those comments are submitted to us, certain content, certain subject matter that FMs want to see published and want to see explored, that's a call to action to us to start seeking those resources out for facility managers, and you know, you're trying to push them through the process and get them vetted and ultimately get them published, so that again we have more content to offer, and it's targeted content. We've heard straight from the facility manager that's using the knowledge library, I really need this, I really would like to see content on this subject matter. Then we get active and say, okay, how can we make this happen for them?
Next slide, Josh, please. So, is the value the knowledge library provides to FMs recognizable and easily understood? And my answer as a user is definitely. After one visit, the benefits are self-evident, from information to research by industry, through interaction with FMs via reviews and comments, seeing other people's reactions to certain pieces in the library. It should be obvious to anybody who really is invested in FM that this is a great tool, and you know, it's wonderful to see it, and it's really great to use. It's a composite of a lot of thought leaders who we'll get to in a second. But so anyway, my answer to that is yes, without a doubt. Which I assume.
I don't want to trademark infringe, but you know, it is essentially largely built for FMs by FMs. So because facility managers are so deeply embedded in the process, they are obviously the primary contributors of knowledge to the knowledge library for on the submission side, but then they're also deeply embedded as content experts, and as Bill mentioned, an FM practitioner, you know, responsible for voice of the customer, being a resource that is constructed by your peers, we think makes it extremely valuable, because it's not some, you know, arbitrary voice saying, hey, you know, this is a valuable resource, trying to come at it from a quote-unquote sales angle. It's actually your own FM peers saying, you know, I've spent some time, I volunteered, I helped out the knowledge library in the review process, I've read through this stuff, it is valuable. So again, that kind of goes back to that point of how we kind of cut through the noise, you know, within the industry, and kind of really narrow down exactly what FMs will need. It's built on the backbone of other FMs that have essentially told us this is good stuff.
Yeah, and next slide. And just to build on what Chris was talking about, you know, what is the value for thought leaders in the facility management field to get involved in producing and reviewing content? Again, this knowledge library is created by FMs for FMs. It's part of the Knowledge Strategy Committee, and another area the Knowledge Strategy Committee is looking at very strongly is knowledge management and knowledge transfer. We all have to be thinking about succession planning, not even just personally, but holistically, making sure that the profession is in good hands when a lot of us retire and go milk cows or something. But succession planning is really important, and here's all the information that you can put out there. So as a thought leader, as you think about what kind of knowledge would I transfer down, what kind of knowledge, what would I tell people who are going to take my position or who are going to progress in facility management, going to the knowledge library is a great tool to pass a lot of that intellectual property down to other people. You know, secrets shared benefit everyone. Secrets kept benefit no one. So you know, everything you do shouldn't be proprietary. As an FM, we are leaders. FMs are leaders, and so we want the thought leaders to step up and start really helping out with this transition from for a new guard, for the millennials who are coming up to take our places. The Knowledge Library assists members. No one knows everything, but everybody knows something. What we want to do is capture something that they know, and it creates visibility for the thought leader, for anybody who's submitting, but it also should create a little bit of peace of mind that we as leaders, as FMs, are doing our best to make sure that our profession lives on. And you know, libraries, especially digital, probably going to be around for a while. So we're really making an investment in our future just by sharing our information now.
Yeah, that's great, Bill, and I agree wholeheartedly. And to kind of, I guess, drill down a little bit in terms of some of the materialistic value that can be derived. So we spoke briefly on those that produce content can position themselves as thought leaders by publishing in the Knowledge Library. You know, you go through the vetting process and you get your content published. It starts to position you amongst your peers as being a voice to listen to. And then I guess with the process of reviewing content, some of the incentives that we offer for that, we understand it's a volunteer. It's a big commitment to volunteer your time when you've got you know, familial obligations and your day job and everything. And so we try to essentially sweeten the pot by the content experts that help us. We host these promotions through the review process. Where they're able to get base membership dues paid for based on their level of participation, or conference registration, you know, to Facility Fusion or World Workplace. So we've definitely tried to design it in a way that it's not a one-way street. It's not just us, you know, taking the content and publishing it to the library, but again, it goes back to that level of interactivity and communicating with FMs and really trying to make it a win-win for everyone. The commitment that our content experts provide, you know, we go to great lengths to kind of help share their volunteerism and recognize them in FMJ and recognize them in a private content expert group that's exclusively set up for those that volunteer, and some of those other incentives. So there's definitely a lot of value, I think, you get on both sides of it, both producing content and helping the knowledge strategy staff and helping IFMA review content.
Yeah, and the third leg of the tripod here is this virtual conference is being hosted by the FMCC, the Facility Management Consultants Council. Now, I'm hoping that not everybody on the call is a consultant. We're hoping we reach out beyond that. But for those consultants that are listening to this, or they're going to be reviewing this later, getting yourself published, getting yourself known in the Knowledge Library, people are going to say, wow, that person really knows something, you know. It's great visibility and great publicity for consultants who are out there, and again, I'm talking about the publishing side, who are out there trying to make a name for themselves and trying to prove their worth, you know. Phone calls and flyers don't do the justice that a good, well-written article or showing your expertise on the Knowledge Library can bring. And going full circle back to the benefits of the Knowledge Library, again, as a consultant, if you are a facility management consultant, keeping on top of what's happening to the Knowledge Library will help you help your clients and help you get more clients, because you'll be ahead of the curve. And if people have questions, how do I do, or where do I go, you'll already have the answers because you've gotten them from the Knowledge Library. So it's a great resource and tool for those people in consulting who really want to help their customers and their clients improve their facility management skills. So again, two ways, but talking about the thought leader side of it, create that visibility, create the credibility that as a facility management consultant, you know what you're talking about and you've got a lot of things to offer. I think it'd be a great tool for you as you go out and get and satisfy your clients. So, next slide, please. So just to wrap up, visit the Knowledge Library. This whole thing is about what it can do for you, what the benefits. You can enhance your toolkit with need-to-know information, assist fellow FMs and customers and clients with your expertise, provide IFMA with comments that will improve this valuable resource. Even though it's almost a year old, the Knowledge Library is still within its developmental stages. Even now, though, it is a robust, informative, and comprehensive composite of the best information that can be collected regarding facility management. Members are strongly encouraged to check it out and grow with it. Be careful, though. It's a fascinating journey, and as I mentioned earlier, it's fun, and it could be more addictive. It could become more addictive than any online game you ever play, because once you get into it, you're going to say, wow. We all know that the more you learn, the more you need to learn. So this will definitely satisfy that craving for sure. So, I guess I'm continuing on. So become a content expert. And again, Chris, you can probably talk about this more than I. You can go again to the IFMA.
Sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off, Bill. These are essentially just some quick access links for your convenience. So becoming a content expert, as we mentioned, those are the volunteer FMs that review all of the content that ultimately gets published in the library. So there's the link for you there if you're interested in becoming a content expert or reading more on those incentives that I mentioned. You can go to that link and check it out. The sign up for the Knowledge Library, this is a pretty obvious and straightforward one, and we obviously encourage everyone that's interested in kind of growing their knowledge or potentially contributing to the Knowledge Library to sign up and create that registered account and start unlocking that access to the Knowledge Library. And then for submitting content, we have that submission process that we had mentioned early on in the presentation. There's actually, as we said, there's multiple channels to access the Knowledge Library. There's also multiple channels to be able to submit content. So you can go directly to this URL, or if you go into the IFMA.org website under the Knowledge Base tab that Bill had mentioned, we have a whole submission section that outlines the submission process. It outlines those content submission guidelines, so you know exactly how to submit content, so that it's likely to be to make it through the vetting process and be accepted for publication. And then there's a button there that will navigate you directly to this URL, so that you can enter in all of the necessary criteria for that submission form.
Yeah, and just to kind of follow up on that, basically, we really hope we've piqued your interest to do the 5 things that we're asking, and that's, you know, go to the Knowledge Library, check it out, comment on it, you know, vet content, submit content, and tell your friends and family about it. You know, get the word out. Let's get a lot of people on there, because the more people we get, the more quality we get, the more reviews and comments we get, you know, the more the merrier. So, so 5 things basically: visit it, comment on it, vet it, submit to it, and tell everybody about it. And you'll help yourself and IFMA create a really, really strong, fantastic tool that will help everybody advance in their careers as time goes by. So. And that's that. I think it's, if we have time, Joshua, for Q&A, any questions popped up?
We had a couple. We'll try to get through them real fast because we're almost at time. It says, are there or should there be any YouTube or similar tutorials for users?
So I'll go ahead and take that one. In the Knowledge Library itself, we have the support tab that Bill mentioned, and it walks you through step-by-step a lot of the processes on how to navigate the library, how to use some of that interactive functionality like commenting, rating content, how to use the search functionality to find exactly what you're looking for. So we do have a number of resources, and we're constantly again, going back, and I know I've said this a lot in the presentation, to the feedback, we're constantly, you know, ears open to hear what resources would be most helpful, you know, and constantly developing new getting started resources and updating those help resources and support resources as we continue to develop the functionality and features provided by the Knowledge Library.
Great, thank you. It says, what relationships, sharing current or planned to academic, public agency, foundations, etc., libraries, are you planning?
I'm sorry, can you repeat the question?
Sure. It says, what relationships, sharing current or planned to or with academic, public agency, or foundations?
So currently, we actually do have a relationship with the IFMA Foundation that we are doing a preservation project of the IJFM. So we're always, again, eager and interested to formulate relationships and preserve a great bodies of knowledge that other entities may have and want to see published. Again, the underlying kind of tagline when we launched the Knowledge Library was all FM content in one location at your fingertips. So we really want to try and make good on that promise and find those thought leaders and find those kind of areas of FM content that other organizations may produce to get those into the Knowledge Library.
And we are, IFMA overall is creating third-party MOUs with different groups, but I feel personally, again, I'm a user as opposed to a functionary, but I feel that I would want to see things submitted by FMs, because then that would give it a little bit of credibility. Linking carte blanche to other academic, areas that may have a lot of great content, a lot of great stuff, but it doesn't really relate to facility management. So I'd be kind of wary of that personally, but that's just off the top of my head.
Great. This one I'll just throw it out there for food for thought, and then we'll move on. Someone suggesting maybe a recording of this webinar find its way into the Knowledge Library. Well,
I think we know some people that might help get that done.
Okay, excellent. So I'm going to hurry up and wrap up because we are at time. I do want to let everyone on the call know, or on the presentation know, the FMCC does do a scholarship every year in honor of Kit Tuvison, who is very near and dear to a lot of people on this phone call. Nominations are to be submitted by August 19th. You can get more information at the FMCC website, which is fmcc.ifma.org or fmcc-workplace.com. And as always, any volunteer organization is always looking for more volunteers. If you are interested in serving with the FMCC, please contact Gay Tuttle at gaytuttle.cfm@gmail.com. That's gaytuttle.cfm@gmail.com. I know she would love to get your email from you. And also, they just want to let you know of goings on connected to World FM Day, and always search on Twitter that hashtag World FM Day. And we want to let you know about the 2 remaining webinars today to conclude the World FM Day virtual conference, Integrating FM into Design and Build Processes, presented by Martin Leake. And then also, we're going to conclude with World FM Day wrap-up and closing. What themes emerge? What are the implications? With Val Mores and David Reynolds. As always, the FMCC does like to let everybody know of the other councils that are out there that you can use as resources. And as always, we want to thank everybody for joining us, and I want to thank Chris and Bill for a great presentation today. Thank you for your time.
Thank you so much. A lot of fun.
Thanks, Josh. Thanks for moderating for us.
Absolutely. Have a great World FM Day, everybody. Bye-bye.